Imagine being trapped 30,000 feet in the air with the one person who shattered your heart into a million pieces. Emily Carter thought she'd buried that pain deep enough to never surface again. But when your 8-year-old daughter asks point blank, "Mom, is she the reason you hate flying?" Well, some wounds refuse to stay hidden. Before we take off on this emotional journey, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. The boarding announcement echoed through Terminal B. Emily's hands were already shaking, and they hadn't even left the ground yet. Emily Carter stared at the boarding pass in her trembling fingers, like it was a death sentence. Gate 23B, Flight 447 to Denver. Departure 2:15 p.m. "Mommy, why are your hands shaky?" Lily asked, tugging on Emily's jacket sleeve with the persistence only an 8-year-old could muster. Emily forced a smile, the kind that fooled everyone except her daughter. "Just excited to see Grandma and Grandpa, sweetheart." Lily's eyes narrowed with that suspicious look she'd inherited from Emily's side of the family. "You don't look excited. You look like when I have to get shots at the doctor." Out of the mouths of babes, Emily thought, her stomach churning like a washing machine on the fritz. The truth was, Emily hadn't been on a plane in 4 years. Not since everything fell apart. She'd driven everywhere since then. 12-hour road trips to avoid 2-hour flights, elaborate vacation plans that never required leaving the ground. Her friends thought she was just being quirky. Her therapist knew better. "Flight 447 to Denver, now boarding Group A," the gate agent announced with that artificially cheerful airline voice. Emily's heart hammered against her ribs. She could still back out, drive to Denver instead. It would only take 14 hours, maybe 16 with stops. Lily would understand, right? "That's us." Lily bounced on her toes, clutching her stuffed elephant, Mr. Peanuts, like a security blanket. "We're Group A, Mommy. No backing out now." Emily's mother had been planning this visit for months, and Lily had been counting down the days on her princess calendar. Emily couldn't disappoint her daughter just because she was a coward who couldn't handle being in a metal tube hurtling through the sky. "It's just a flight," she told herself, the same lie she'd been repeating for weeks. 2.5 hours. You can do anything for 2.5 hours. They joined the line of passengers shuffling toward the gate. Emily's palms were sweating so badly she could barely grip Lily's hand. The woman in front of them was chatting excitedly about visiting her grandchildren. The man behind them was already on his phone, talking about some business meeting. Everyone else seemed so normal, so unafraid. "Boarding passes and IDs, please," the gate agent said with a practiced smile. Emily handed over their documents, her hand visibly shaking. The agent glanced up with concern. "First time flying?" she asked kindly. "Something like that," Emily managed. "Well, you picked a beautiful day for it. Clear skies all the way to Denver." If only clear skies were Emily's biggest worry. They walked down the jet bridge, Lily chattering about clouds and how small cars would look from up high. Emily focused on breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth. The meditation app she downloaded had promised this would help. The meditation app was a liar. The airplane door loomed ahead like the entrance to a haunted house. Emily could hear the flight attendants inside, their voices bright and welcoming. Professional. Trained to make passengers feel safe and comfortable. "Just get to your seat," Emily coached herself. "Buckle in, close your eyes, and it'll be over before you know it." "Welcome aboard," called a cheerful voice from inside the plane. Emily stepped through the doorway, Lily's hand in hers, and immediately felt the walls closing in. The airplane smell hit her, that mixture of recycled air, cleaning products, and something indefinably metallic that always made her think of... No, she wasn't going there. Not today. "Seats 12A and 12B, Emily murmured, checking their boarding passes for the 100th time. "Window and middle seat." "I want the window," Lily announced, already pushing past other passengers with the fearlessness of childhood. Emily followed, keeping her eyes down, focusing on the blue carpet with its swirling pattern. Don't look at the flight attendants. Don't make eye contact. Just get to the seat and survive the next few hours. Row 8. Row 9. Row 10. "Can I help you find your seats?" a voice asked behind her. Emily's blood turned to ice water. She knew that voice, would know it anywhere, even after 4 years of trying to forget it. Warm honey with just a hint of southern drawl, the voice that used to whisper her name in the dark, that used to laugh at her terrible jokes, that used to say, "I love you," like it was a prayer. Emily turned around slowly, hoping against hope that her mind was playing tricks on her. It wasn't. Ava Sinclair stood 3 feet away in a crisp navy uniform, her auburn hair pulled back in a perfect bun, those green eyes that had haunted Emily's dreams now wide with shock. She looked exactly the same, except for tiny lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Emily?" Ava whispered, her professional smile faltering. The airplane suddenly felt smaller than a coffin. Emily couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't do anything except stare at the woman who had disappeared from her life without a word, without an explanation, without a goodbye. "Mommy?" Lily's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Are you okay? You look really pale." Emily opened her mouth, but no sound came out. 4 years of carefully constructed walls crumbled in an instant. 4 years of telling herself she was over it, that she'd moved on, that Ava Sinclair was just a chapter in her past. Ava's eyes darted between Emily and Lily, and Emily saw the exact moment when understanding dawned on her face. "You have a daughter," Ava said softly, and there was something in her voice, surprise, sadness, maybe regret. "Mommy, who is this lady?" Lily asked, tugging on Emily's jacket again. Emily finally found her voice, though it came out as barely more than a croak. This is Ava. She's going to help us find our seats. And then I'm going to figure out how to survive the next 2.5 hours without completely falling apart." Ava's hands trembled as she checked Emily's boarding pass, though she tried to hide it behind her professional demeanor. 12A and 12B, she said, her voice carefully controlled. "Right this way." Emily followed like she was walking to her execution, Lily skipping ahead, completely oblivious to the tension crackling between the 2 adults behind her. "Here we are," Ava said, gesturing to their row. "Window seat for the little one?" "Yes, please," Emily managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Lily scrambled into the window seat, immediately pressing her face to the glass. "Look, Mommy, I can see the luggage trucks." Emily slid into the middle seat, hyper-aware of every movement, every breath. Ava was still standing in the aisle, and Emily could smell her perfume. The same vanilla and jasmine scent that used to linger on Emily's pillows, on her clothes, on her skin. "Can I get you anything before takeoff?" Ava asked. And Emily could hear the careful professionalism in her voice, the way she was trying to pretend they were strangers. "We're fine," Emily said quickly, not trusting herself to say more. But Ava didn't move. She stood there for a moment longer, and Emily could feel her gaze like a physical touch. Finally, she leaned down slightly, her voice low enough that only Emily could hear. "I can't believe you're here." Emily's heart clenched. "I can't believe you're here either. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our boarding process," the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Flight attendants, please prepare for departure." Ava straightened immediately, the spell broken. I'll be back to check on you during the flight." She hurried away, and Emily watched her go, noting the way her shoulders were rigid with tension, the way she kept glancing back. "Mommy, that lady seems nice," Lily said, still gazing out the window. "Do you know her from work?" Emily's throat felt like sandpaper. "Something like that, sweetheart." More passengers filed past, stowing luggage and settling into their seats. Emily tried to focus on helping Lily with her seatbelt, on the safety demonstration, on anything except the fact that Ava was somewhere on this plane, probably as shaken as Emily was. This is a nightmare, Emily thought. Of all the flights, on all the airlines, she had to be working this one. "Mommy, you're breathing funny," Lily observed with the brutal honesty of childhood. Emily realized she was hyperventilating. "I'm fine, baby. Just excited about seeing Grandma. You keep saying that, but you don't look excited. You look scared." "Scared doesn't even begin to cover it," Emily thought. The plane began to taxi, and Emily gripped the armrest so hard her knuckles went white. She'd forgotten how much she hated this part, the feeling of being trapped, of having no control, of being completely at the mercy of physics and weather and the skill of people she'd never met. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're next for takeoff," the captain announced. Emily closed her eyes and tried to think about anything else. Her mother's pot roast, Lily's upcoming school play, the grocery list she'd left on the kitchen counter. Anything except the woman in the Navy uniform, who was probably watching her fall apart from the galley. The engines roared to life, and the plane began to accelerate down the runway. Emily's stomach dropped as they lifted off. That horrible moment when the ground fell away, and there was nothing but air between them, and a very long fall. "Wow!" Lily pressed her face to the window again. "Look how small everything is. The cars look like toys." Emily kept her eyes squeezed shut until the seatbelt sign dinged off. Only then did she dare to open them, to look around the cabin. Ava was at the front of the plane, going through the post-takeoff routine with the other flight attendants. She moved with the same grace Emily remembered, efficient and confident. But every few minutes, her eyes would dart toward Emily's row, and their gazes would meet for a split second, before one of them looked away. "Can I have some juice?" Lily asked. "We'll wait for the drink service, okay?" "When will that be?" "Soon, sweetheart." But Emily wasn't thinking about juice or drink service. She was thinking about the last time she'd seen Ava, 4 years ago in their shared apartment. The fight they'd had. The things they'd said. The way Ava had packed her bags and walked out without looking back. Emily had come home from work the next day to find half the apartment empty and a note on the kitchen table. "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Please don't try to find me." That was it. 4 years of silence after 2 years of what Emily had thought was love. "Excuse me, can I get you ladies anything to drink?" Emily looked up to find Ava standing beside their row with the drink cart, her smile professional but her eyes uncertain. "Apple juice, please," Lily said immediately. "And for you?" Ava asked Emily. "Water, just water." Ava poured the drinks with steady hands, but Emily noticed the way she bit her lower lip. A nervous habit Emily remembered all too well. "Here you go," Ava said, handing Lily her juice and Emily her water. Their fingers brushed for just a moment, and Emily felt that familiar electric shock that used to make her feel like she was coming alive. "Thank you," Emily whispered. Ava moved on to the next row, but Emily could feel the weight of everything unsaid, hanging between them like a storm cloud. "Mommy," Lily said suddenly, her voice cutting through Emily's thoughts like a knife. "Is that lady the reason you don't like flying?" Emily's water glass slipped from her numb fingers, ice cubes scattering across the floor. Several passengers turned to look, including Ava, who had frozen mid-pour at the row behind them. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Emily asked, her voice barely steady. Lily's 8-year-old eyes were far too perceptive. "You got all weird when you saw her, and you're making that face you make when you're trying not to cry. Like when we watch sad movies." Emily felt every eye in their section of the plane on her. Ava had abandoned the drink cart and was walking back toward them, concern written all over her face. "Is everything okay here?" Ava asked softly. Lily looked between her mother and Ava with the calculating expression of a child who was starting to piece together a puzzle she didn't fully understand. "Mommy," she said, her voice carrying in the quiet cabin, "is she the reason you hate flying?" The silence that followed Lily's question was deafening. Emily felt like every passenger within a 3-row radius was holding their breath, waiting for her answer. Ava stood frozen beside their seats, her face pale beneath her professional makeup. "Lily, sweetheart," Emily started, her voice shaking. "That's not... It's complicated." But Lily wasn't backing down. At 8 years old, she had inherited Emily's stubborn streak and her grandmother's inability to let sleeping dogs lie. "But you used to fly before," Lily continued, her voice innocent but relentless. "Grandma showed me pictures of you on airplanes when you were younger, and then you stopped. And now you're all shaky and weird, and it started when you saw her." Emily wanted to disappear into her seat. She could feel other passengers pretending not to listen, while obviously hanging on every word. This was exactly the kind of scene she'd spent 4 years trying to avoid. "Ma'am, perhaps we could..." Ava started, clearly trying to defuse the situation. "Are you my mommy's friend?" Lily asked, turning those big brown eyes on Ava with laser focus. Ava's composure cracked slightly. We We used to know each other. A long time ago. How long ago? Lily, that's enough questions, Emily said firmly, though her voice was still trembling. But Lily was like a dog with a bone. Were you friends before I was born? Ava's eyes met Emily's over Lily's head, and Emily saw her own pain reflected there. The weight of 4 years of silence, of questions never answered, of a love that had ended without explanation. Yes, Ava said quietly. We were friends before you were born. Good friends? Lily pressed. Emily's heart was hammering so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. Lily, please, very good friends, Ava answered, and there was something raw in her voice that made Emily's chest ache. Lily nodded sagely, as if this confirmed something she'd already suspected. And then something happened, and you stopped being friends, and that's why Mommy doesn't like airplanes anymore. It wasn't a question. It was a statement delivered with the brutal honesty of childhood, and it hit Emily like a physical blow. I need to get back to work, Ava said suddenly, her professional mask slipping back into place. Please let me know if you need anything else. She hurried away, leaving Emily to deal with the aftermath of her daughter's inadvertent emotional bomb. Did I say something wrong? Lily asked, finally picking up on the tension she'd created. No, baby, Emily said, pulling Lily closer. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings about things. Were you sad when you stopped being friends with her? Emily closed her eyes, remembering the weeks after Ava left. The way she'd cried until she had no tears left. The way she'd stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped caring about anything. The way she'd finally had to move out of their apartment because everything reminded her of Ava. Yes, she whispered. I was very sad. Is that why you don't like flying? Because it makes you think about her. Emily looked at her daughter, really looked at her. When had Lily gotten so perceptive? When had she learned to read people's emotions like an open book? Flying makes me think about a lot of things, Emily said carefully. Some of them are sad things. Lily considered this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice. But maybe if you talked to her, you wouldn't be sad anymore. If only it were that simple, Emily thought. Sometimes talking doesn't fix everything, sweetheart. But sometimes it does, Lily said with the unwavering optimism of childhood. Like when I was mad at Sophie for taking my crayon. But then we talked, and now we're best friends again. Emily almost smiled despite everything. This is a little more complicated than a crayon, Lily. Why? Because she left without saying goodbye. Because she broke my heart and never told me why. Because I spent 2 years thinking we were building a life together, and she threw it all away like it meant nothing. Because grown-up friendships are different, Emily said instead. Different how? Emily was saved from answering by turbulence that made the plane shudder and dip. Several passengers gasped, and Emily's hands immediately went white-knuckled on the armrests. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some light chop. The captain's voice came over the intercom. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. The plane bucked again, harder this time, and Emily's breathing became shallow and rapid. She hated turbulence. Hated the feeling of being out of control, of being at the mercy of forces beyond her understanding. Mommy, are you okay? Lily asked, her own voice now tinged with worry. Emily couldn't answer. The plane dropped suddenly, that stomach-lurching sensation that made her feel like she was falling. Her vision started to tunnel, and she realized she was having a panic attack. Not here, she thought desperately. Not in front of Lily. Not in front of everyone. Ma'am? A gentle hand touched her shoulder, and Emily looked up to see Ava crouched beside her seat, concern written all over her face. Are you okay? Emily shook her head, unable to speak. The plane shook again, and she made a small, involuntary sound of distress. Hey, Ava said softly, her voice taking on the same gentle tone she used to use when Emily had nightmares. Look at me. Just look at me. Emily met her eyes. Those familiar green eyes that used to be her safe harbor. Breathe with me, Ava said. In through your nose, out through your mouth, just like we used to practice. She remembers, Emily thought with surprise. Ava remembered Emily's anxiety, remembered the breathing exercises they'd learned together in couples therapy. That's it. Ava encouraged as Emily tried to match her breathing. "You're okay. We're okay. This is just a little bumpy air." The plane steadied, and Emily's breathing slowly returned to normal. But Ava didn't move away. She stayed crouched beside Emily's seat, her hand still on Emily's shoulder. "Better?" she asked softly. Emily nodded, not trusting her voice. "Is my mommy sick?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with worry. "She's fine," Ava assured her. "Sometimes flying makes people nervous, that's all. Your mommy is very brave for getting on this airplane." Lily looked between them with that calculating expression again. "You're good at making her feel better." Ava's hand tightened slightly on Emily's shoulder. "I used to be." The weight of that statement hung between them like a bridge neither of them knew how to cross. The plane hit another pocket of rough air, and Emily's knuckles went white against the armrests again. This time, Ava didn't hesitate. She slipped into the empty aisle seat across from them, buckling herself in as the seatbelt sign chimed on. "I should be working," Ava murmured. But she made no move to leave. "The other flight attendants can handle it," Emily said, surprising herself by speaking. "You always were the responsible one." Ava's eyes flickered with something that might have been pain. "Not always." The plane shuddered again, and Lily grabbed Emily's hand. "I don't like this part." "It's okay, sweetheart," Emily said, though her own voice was tight with anxiety. "It's just bumpy air, like driving over a rocky road." "Except we're really, really high up," Lily pointed out with devastating logic. "Your mom's right," Ava said, leaning forward slightly. "The pilots are trained for this. They've flown through much worse than a little turbulence." "How do you know?" Lily asked. "Because I've been doing this job for 6 years. I've seen pilots handle storms, wind shear, even emergency landings. They're the best at what they do." Emily stared at Ava. 6 years. That meant she'd started flying right after she left. "Did you always want to be a flight attendant?" Lily asked, apparently deciding that Ava was now her new best friend. Ava glanced at Emily before answering. "No, actually. I kind of fell into it, or ran away into it," Emily wondered. "What did you want to be before?" "I wanted to be a teacher," Ava said softly. "Elementary school. I loved working with kids." Emily's heart clenched. She remembered that dream, remembered Ava talking about having her own classroom, about making a difference in children's lives. They'd even talked about Ava going back to school to finish her education degree. "Why didn't you become a teacher?" Lily asked with the relentless curiosity of childhood. Ava's eyes met Emily's again, and Emily saw years of regret in that green gaze. Sometimes life takes you in different directions than you planned. The plane hit another rough patch, worse this time. The overhead bins rattled, and several passengers gasped. Emily's breathing started to quicken again, and without thinking, Ava reached across the aisle and took her hand. The touch was electric. 4 years of separation melted away in an instant, and Emily was transported back to their apartment, to lazy Sunday mornings and whispered conversations in the dark, to a time when Ava's touch could calm any storm. "Breathe," Ava said quietly, her thumb tracing gentle circles on Emily's palm. "Remember what Dr. Martinez taught us? Count backwards from 10. Emily closed her eyes and started counting, Ava's voice guiding her through the familiar exercise. 10, 9, 8. The plane bucked again, but Emily kept counting. 7, 6, 5. Ava's hand was warm and steady in hers. 4, 3, 2, 1. When she opened her eyes, the turbulence had passed, and the plane was flying smoothly again, but Ava was still holding her hand. "You still remember," Emily whispered. "I remember everything," Ava said. And there was so much pain in her voice that Emily's chest ached. "Then why?" Emily started, but Lily interrupted. "You two are holding hands," she observed with the matter-of-fact tone of a child stating the obvious. Ava immediately pulled her hand away, color flooding her cheeks. "I was just helping your mom with her anxiety." "My mom gets anxious a lot," Lily said, "especially about flying. And sometimes when she thinks I'm not looking, she gets sad and stares at old pictures on her phone." Emily felt heat creep up her neck. "Lily, what kind of pictures?" Ava asked quietly. Pictures of her and another lady. They look really happy together, but Mom always puts the phone away really fast when she sees me watching. Emily wanted to crawl under her seat and disappear. Of all the conversations to have at 30,000 feet, with a plane full of strangers pretending not to eavesdrop. "Lily, that's enough," she said firmly. But Ava was looking at her with an expression Emily couldn't quite read. "You kept pictures?" "I kept a lot of things I shouldn't have," Emily admitted before she could stop herself. The admission hung between them like a confession. Ava's eyes filled with something that looked like tears, but she blinked them away quickly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've cleared the rough air," the captain announced. "Flight attendants, you're free to move about the cabin." Ava unbuckled her seatbelt, but she didn't get up immediately. "I should get back to work." "Should," Emily repeated. "But do you want to?" It was a loaded question, and they both knew it. Ava sat there for a long moment, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "What I want and what I should do haven't been the same thing for a very long time," she said finally. "Why?" The question slipped out before Emily could stop it. "Why did you leave, Ava? Why did you just disappear without explaining anything?" Ava's face crumpled slightly, and Emily saw the careful composure she'd been maintaining start to crack. "I can't. Not here. Not like this." "Then when?" Emily asked. 4 years of hurt and confusion pouring into those 2 words. "When will you tell me why you threw away everything we had?" "Mommy," Lily said quietly. "You're crying." Emily touched her cheek and realized her daughter was right. Tears were streaming down her face, and she hadn't even noticed. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not sure if she was apologizing to Lily or to Ava or to herself. Ava stood up abruptly, her professional mask sliding back into place. "I really do need to get back to work. But Emily, maybe we could talk later, after we land?" Emily nodded, not trusting her voice. "Are you going to be friends again?" Lily asked hopefully. Ava looked down at the little girl with her earnest brown eyes and honest question, and Emily saw her composure crack again. "I don't know, sweetheart," Ava said softly. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes that are hard to fix. But you could try, right?" Ava's eyes met Emily's one more time. "Yeah," she said quietly. "We could try." An hour later, Emily was dozing fitfully when she felt someone slide into the seat beside her. She opened her eyes to find Ava settling in, having switched places with the passenger who'd been sitting there. "Is this okay?" Ava asked quietly. "I told him I needed to check on a passenger with flight anxiety." Emily glanced at Lily, who had fallen asleep against the window, Mr. Peanuts clutched in her arms. "She's out cold. She could sleep through a tornado." "She's beautiful," Ava said, studying Lily's peaceful face. "She looks like you." "Everyone says that." Emily hesitated, then added, "Her father, he's not in the picture. Never was, really." Ava nodded, and Emily caught something that looked like relief flicker across her face. "What's her name?" "Lily. Lily Rose Carter." "Lily," Ava repeated softly. "You always loved that name." Emily's throat tightened. "You remember." "I told you. I remember everything." Ava was quiet for a moment, then said, "Emily, about what happened between us." "You left," Emily interrupted, 4 years of pain finally finding its voice. "You packed your bags and walked out of our life like it meant nothing, like I meant nothing. That's not—" Ava started, then stopped, running her hands through her hair. "God, I don't even know where to start." "Start with why," Emily said simply. "Start with why you left without saying goodbye." Ava was quiet for so long that Emily thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you remember that night, our last fight?" Emily's stomach clenched. Of course she remembered. She'd replayed that night 1,000 times, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. "You said you wanted to take things to the next level," Emily said. "You wanted us to get married, maybe start thinking about kids." "And I said—" "You said you weren't ready," Ava finished. "You said you needed more time to figure things out." "I was scared," Emily admitted. "We'd only been together 2 years. I thought we had time to figure it out together." "And I said I was tired of waiting for you to be sure about us." Emily nodded, the memory as sharp as a knife. You said you needed someone who knew what they wanted, someone who wasn't afraid to commit. I was an idiot, Ava said quietly. I was young and impatient, and I thought if I gave you an ultimatum, you'd realize you couldn't live without me. But I didn't, Emily said. I told you I needed time, and you said you couldn't wait anymore, and then you said maybe we should take a break. Figure out what we both really wanted. Emily closed her eyes, remembering the way Ava's face had crumpled when she'd said those words. I didn't mean it. I was just scared and saying stupid things. I thought we'd cool off for a few days and then work it out, but when you came home the next day, I was gone, with a note that said you couldn't do it anymore and not to try to find you. Emily opened her eyes and looked at Ava. Do you have any idea what that did to me? I thought you'd just given up on us. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I didn't give up. I ran away. What's the difference? The difference is that I left because I was terrified you were right, that maybe we weren't meant to be together, that maybe I was pushing for something you didn't really want. Emily stared at her. So you decided for both of us? I was 26 years old and scared out of my mind, Ava said, tears now flowing freely down her cheeks. I thought if I left, you'd either come after me and prove that you really did want to be with me, or you'd let me go and prove that I was right to leave. I did come after you, Emily said quietly. I went to your sister's house, your mom's place, even that coffee shop where you used to write. No one would tell me where you were. Ava's face went white. You came looking for me? Of course I came looking for you. I loved you, Ava. I was planning to tell you that the break was a stupid idea, that I wanted to work things out, but you'd vanished like you'd never existed. My family, Ava said slowly. I told them not to tell you where I was. I said if you really wanted to find me, you'd try harder. I tried for months, Emily said, her voice breaking. I hired a private investigator. I checked social media obsessively. I even called the airline when I found out you'd started working for them, but they wouldn't give me any information. Ava was crying openly now. I didn't know. I thought you just moved on, that you were relieved I was gone. Relieved? Emily laughed bitterly. I fell apart, Ava. Completely fell apart. I had to move out of our apartment because everything reminded me of you. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My friends were worried I was having a breakdown. Emily, I'm so sorry. And then I found out I was pregnant. The words hung between them like a bomb waiting to explode. Ava went completely still. What? She whispered. 3 weeks after you left, I found out I was pregnant, from that guy I'd been seeing before we got together. We'd broken up, but there was one night, right before I met you, when we... Emily shook her head. It doesn't matter. The point is, I was pregnant and alone, and the person I wanted to tell more than anyone had disappeared. Ava's face was ashen. Lily is 4 years old, Ava. Do the math. You were pregnant when I left, Ava said, her voice hollow. You were pregnant and I abandoned you. You didn't know, Emily said quietly. I didn't know either, not until after you were gone. But if I had stayed, if I hadn't been such a coward... You would have helped me raise another man's child? Emily asked. You would have been okay with that? Ava looked at Lily's sleeping form, and Emily saw something fierce and protective cross her face. I would have loved her because she was yours. I would have loved both of you. The simple honesty of that statement broke something open in Emily's chest. I used to imagine that sometimes. What it would have been like if you'd been there when she was born. If you'd been there for her first steps, her first words. What was her first word? Ava asked softly. Emily smiled through her tears. Mama. She was 8 months old, and I was having a particularly bad day. Missing you, feeling overwhelmed. And she just looked at me and said, Mama, like she knew I needed to hear it. She saved you, Ava said. She did. She gave me a reason to keep going when I wanted to give up. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of 4 years of misunderstanding settling between them. I'm sorry, Ava whispered finally. I'm so sorry, Emily, for leaving, for not trying harder to find you, for missing all of it. I'm sorry too, Emily said. For not fighting harder to make you stay. For not telling you how much I loved you before it was too late. It doesn't have to be too late, Ava said quietly. Emily looked at her. This woman who had once been her whole world, who had broken her heart and was now sitting here offering to piece it back together. Doesn't it? She asked. 4 years is a long time, Ava. We're different people now. Are we? Ava asked. Because sitting here with you, it feels like no time has passed at all. Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Denver, the captain announced, his voice cutting through the emotional bubble that had formed around Emily and Ava. Emily felt her stomach drop, and not just from the change in altitude. In 20 minutes, this flight would be over. Ava would go back to her life. Emily would go back to hers, and this unexpected reunion would become just another painful memory. I should get back to my station, Ava said, but she made no move to leave. Should, Emily repeated, echoing their earlier conversation. But do you want to? Ava's smile was sad and beautiful. What I want is to turn back time and do everything differently. What I want is to have been there when Lily was born. To have held your hand through labor. To have been the first person to hold her after you. Emily's breath caught. Ava. What I want is 4 years of bedtime stories and scraped knees and Christmas mornings. What I want is to know her favorite color and whether she likes pancakes or waffles, and if she's afraid of the dark. Purple, Emily whispered. Her favorite color is purple. She likes both pancakes and waffles, but only if they're shaped like animals. And she's not afraid of the dark, but she likes to sleep with a nightlight that projects stars on the ceiling. Ava's eyes filled with tears again. Tell me more. She's stubborn like me, but sweet like you used to be. She loves animals, especially elephants, which is why she carries Mr. Peanuts everywhere. She's scary smart and asks about 1 million questions a day. She wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up, or maybe a princess, depending on the day. She sounds perfect. She is. She's the best thing I've ever done. Ava reached over and gently touched Lily's hair. She's lucky to have you as a mom. I don't always feel like a good mom, Emily admitted. Sometimes I feel like I'm just making it up as I go along, especially when she asks about her dad, or why we don't have family pictures like her friends do. What do you tell her? The truth, mostly. That sometimes families look different, and that's okay. That she's loved, even if it's just by me and my parents. Just by you? Ava said quietly. Emily, you're not alone anymore. I mean, if you'd let me, let you what? Be part of her life, part of your life. I know I don't have any right to ask after what I did, but I love you. I never stopped loving you, and I already love her, just from these few hours. Emily's heart was racing. Ava, it's not that simple. Where do you live? Wherever the airline sends me, but my base is in Chicago. I'm in Portland. Lily has school, friends, a whole life there. I could transfer. I could request Portland as my base. You'd do that? I'd do anything, Ava said fiercely. I'd quit flying altogether if that's what it took. I told you I never wanted to be a flight attendant. I only took this job because it let me run away from everything that reminded me of you. And now? Now I want to run toward you instead. The plane banked slightly as they continued their descent, and Emily could see the lights of Denver spreading out below them. Soon they'd be on the ground, and this conversation would be over. I'm scared, Emily admitted. I'm scared to trust you again. I'm scared you'll leave again if things get hard. I'm scared too, Ava said. I'm scared I've missed too much, that it's too late, that you've moved on, and I'm just a painful reminder of the past. You're not just a reminder, Emily said softly. You're the one who got away, the one I never got over. Really? Really? Do you think I'd still have pictures of us on my phone if I'd moved on? Ava laughed, a sound that was half joy and half tears. Can I see them? Emily hesitated, then pulled out her phone. She scrolled to the hidden album she'd never been able to delete, the one labeled simply A. Her finger hovered over the first photo. These are going to hurt, she warned. I want to see them anyway. Emily opened the album and handed Ava the phone. The first picture was from their 6-month anniversary dinner, both of them grinning at the camera, Emily's head on Ava's shoulder. Ava's breath caught. "We look so happy." "We were happy, for a while." Ava swiped to the next photo, then the next. 2 years of their life together condensed into a digital slideshow. Vacations, lazy Sunday mornings, holidays with Emily's family. In every picture, they looked like they belonged together. "I can't believe you kept these," Ava whispered. "I couldn't delete them. I tried so many times, but I just couldn't." "I don't have any pictures," Ava admitted. "I deleted everything when I left. I thought it would make it easier to move on." "Did it?" "No. It just made me feel like I'd erased the best part of my life." The plane's wheels touched down with a gentle bump, and Emily felt her heart sink. They were on the ground. This was over. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Denver," the captain announced. "Local time is 4:47 p.m., and the temperature is a pleasant 72 degrees. Around them, passengers were already reaching for their phones, gathering their belongings, preparing to return to their real lives, but Emily and Ava sat frozen, neither wanting to be the first to move. "What happens now?" Emily asked. "I don't know," Ava said honestly. "What do you want to happen?" Emily looked at her daughter, still sleeping peacefully, oblivious to the fact that her world might be about to change completely. "I want to try," she said finally. "I want to see if we can figure this out. But slowly, Ava. I have to think about Lily. I can't let her get attached to you if you're going to disappear again." "I won't disappear," Ava said firmly. "I promise you, Emily. I won't make that mistake again." "How can I trust that?" "Because I'm not 26 and scared anymore. Because I know what I lost when I walked away from you. Because I've spent 4 years regretting the biggest mistake of my life." The plane had come to a complete stop, and passengers were starting to stand up and retrieve their luggage. Lily stirred in her seat, blinking sleepily. "Are we there?" she asked, her voice thick with sleep. "We're there, sweetheart," Emily said, smoothing Lily's hair. Lily looked around and spotted Ava. "Oh, hi. Are you coming with us to see Grandma and Grandpa?" Ava's face fell slightly. "No, sweetheart. I have to work." "But you could visit us sometime, right?" Lily asked with the hopeful innocence of childhood. "Mommy doesn't have very many friends." "Lily," Emily protested, embarrassed, but Ava was smiling. "I'd like that very much. If your mom says it's okay." Lily looked between them expectantly. "Is it okay, Mommy?" Emily met Ava's eyes, seeing hope and fear and love all mixed together in that familiar green gaze. "Yeah," she said softly. "It's okay." 3 days later, Emily stood in the Denver Airport departure lounge, Lily's hand in hers, watching planes taxi on the runway. Their visit with her parents had been wonderful, but Emily's mind had been elsewhere the entire time. She kept thinking about Ava, about their conversation on the plane, about the possibility of second chances. "Flight 892 to Portland, now boarding Group A," the gate agent announced. Emily's stomach fluttered, but this time it wasn't entirely from flight anxiety. Ava had texted her yesterday, asking if she could switch shifts to work their return flight. Emily had said yes before she could talk herself out of it. "Are we going to see your friend again?" Lily asked as they walked toward the gate. "Maybe," Emily said, though her heart was already racing with anticipation. They boarded the plane, and Emily's eyes immediately scanned the cabin for Ava. She spotted her near the front, helping an elderly passenger with his carry-on bag. When Ava looked up and saw them, her face lit up with a smile that made Emily's chest tight with emotion. "Welcome aboard," Ava said as they approached their row. "How was your visit with Grandma and Grandpa?" "They have a new puppy," Lily announced excitedly. "His name is Buster and he's really fluffy and he licked my face." "That sounds wonderful," Ava said, and Emily could hear the genuine warmth in her voice. "Did you take any pictures?" "Mommy took like 100 pictures," Lily said, rolling her eyes with 8-year-old exaggeration. "I'd love to see them sometime," Ava said, glancing at Emily. "Maybe you can," Emily said softly. They settled into their seats, and Emily noticed that Ava kept finding excuses to walk past their row during the pre-flight preparations. Each time, she'd catch Emily's eye and smile, and Emily felt something that had been frozen inside her for 4 years slowly starting to thaw. The flight to Portland was smooth, no turbulence to speak of. But Emily found herself hoping for a little rough air, just so Ava would have an excuse to sit with them again. Instead, Ava appeared beside their row about halfway through the flight, carrying 2 cups of apple juice and a coffee. "Thought you might be thirsty," she said, handing Lily her juice. "Thank you," Lily said. "Are you going to sit with us again, if that's okay with your mom?" Emily nodded, and Ava slipped into the empty seat across the aisle. "So," Ava said, "tell me about this puppy." Lily launched into an elaborate description of Buster's many adorable qualities, and Emily watched Ava listen with genuine interest, asking follow-up questions and laughing at Lily's animated storytelling. It was easy to imagine Ava as a teacher, surrounded by children who adored her. "He sounds like a very special puppy," Ava said, when Lily finally paused for breath. "He is. Grandma said maybe we could get a puppy too, but Mommy said our apartment doesn't allow pets." "That's too bad," Ava said. "Every kid should have a pet." "Did you have pets when you were little?" Lily asked. "I had a cat named Whiskers. He was orange and white and very fat because he was always stealing food from the neighbors." Lily giggled. "That's funny. I want a cat too, and a dog, and maybe a hamster." "That's a lot of pets," Ava said seriously. "You'd have to be very responsible to take care of all of them." "I'm very responsible," Lily said with the confidence of childhood. "I brush my teeth every night, and I always put my toys away. Well, mostly always." Emily smiled, listening to their easy conversation. Ava was a natural with children, just like Emily had always known she would be. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Portland," the captain announced. Emily's heart sank. They were almost home, and she still didn't know what came next. "Ava," she said quietly, "what's your schedule like this week?" "I'm off for the next 4 days," Ava said. "Why? Would you like to have dinner with us? Tomorrow night, maybe? Nothing fancy, just pizza and a movie." "If you want to get to know Lily better." Ava's face lit up. "I'd love that. More than anything." "Can we watch Moana?" Lily asked, apparently having been listening to their conversation. "It's my favorite movie." "I love Moana," Ava said. "Did you know I can sing all the songs?" "Really? Can you sing How Far I'll Go? Maybe tomorrow night," Ava said with a wink. The plane touched down smoothly, and as they taxied to the gate, Emily felt a strange sense of completion. The flight that had started as her worst nightmare had somehow become the beginning of something new. "I should let you get off first," Ava said, as passengers started to stand up. "I have to do the post-flight checks." "Okay," Emily said, then hesitated. "Ava, thank you for everything, for helping me through the turbulence, for listening, for coming back. Thank you for letting me," Ava said softly, "for giving me a chance I don't deserve." "Everyone deserves a second chance," Emily said, "even us." They gathered their belongings and made their way off the plane. At the gate, Emily turned back to see Ava watching them leave, and she raised her hand in a small wave. "See you tomorrow," she mouthed. Ava smiled and nodded. As they walked through the airport, Lily skipped beside Emily, chattering about the puppy and the plane and their new friend Ava. "Mommy," she said suddenly, "are you still scared of flying?" Emily thought about it. "A little. But maybe not as much as I used to be." "Because of Ava?" "Because of a lot of things," Emily said. "But yes, partly because of Ava." "I like her," Lily announced. "She's nice, and she makes you smile." Emily realized her daughter was right. She was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in years. "Yeah," she said softly. "She does make me smile." The next evening, Emily stood in her kitchen, nervously arranging pizza slices on plates. She'd changed clothes 3 times and had been checking her reflection in every mirror she passed. "Por favor, continue gerando a sua resposta. Agent Logo Novo Prompt Historia." The doorbell rang at exactly 6 o'clock, and Emily's heart jumped into her throat. "She's here!" Lily shouted, racing to the door. "Wait, let me—" Emily started, but Lily had already flung the door open. Ava stood on the doorstep holding a bouquet of purple flowers and a small wrapped gift, looking nervous and beautiful in jeans and a soft blue sweater. "Hi," she said softly, her eyes meeting Emily's over Lily's head. "Hi," Emily breathed back. "Purple flowers," Lily exclaimed. "Those are my favorite color." "I know," Ava said, crouching down to Lily's level. "Your mom told me, and I brought you something else too." She handed Lily the wrapped package, and Lily tore it open with the enthusiasm only children could muster. Inside was a small stuffed elephant, soft and gray with purple ears. "It's an elephant like Mr. Peanuts," Lily squealed, "but this one's a girl elephant." "Her name is Violet," Ava said, "because of the purple ears. I love her." Lily hugged the elephant tight. "Thank you, Ava." Emily felt tears prick her eyes. Ava had remembered every detail about Lily from their conversation on the plane. "Come in," Emily said, stepping aside. "I hope you're hungry." Lily insisted on ordering enough pizza to feed a small army. "I'm starving," Ava said, following them into the apartment. Emily watched Ava take in their home. The photos on the walls, Lily's artwork on the refrigerator, the cozy chaos of a life built around a child. When Ava's eyes landed on a framed photo of Emily and Lily at the beach, her expression softened. "You have a beautiful home," she said. "It's small, but it's ours," Emily replied. During dinner, Lily regaled Ava with stories about school, her friends, and her elaborate plans for her upcoming 9th birthday party. Ava listened with rapt attention, asking questions and laughing at all the right moments. And then Sophie said that unicorns aren't real. "But I told her that just because we can't see them doesn't mean they don't exist," Lily said seriously. "I think you're absolutely right," Ava said. "Some of the most important things are invisible." Emily caught Ava's eye across the table, and they shared a look that said everything they couldn't say in front of Lily. After dinner, they settled on the couch to watch Moana. Lily curled up between Emily and Ava, clutching both Mr. Peanuts and Violet. When the opening song began, Ava started singing along softly, and Lily joined in with delight. Emily watched them together, her daughter, and the woman she'd never stopped loving, and felt something shift inside her chest. For the first time in 4 years, she could picture a future that included all three of them. Halfway through the movie, Lily fell asleep against Ava's shoulder. Ava looked down at her with such tenderness that Emily's breath caught. "She's amazing," Ava whispered. "You've done such a good job with her." "I had help," Emily said softly. "My parents, my friends. It takes a village. But you're the one who was there every day. You're the one who kissed her scraped knees and read her bedtime stories and taught her to be kind and curious and brave." "I'm not brave," Emily said. "If I were brave, I would have fought harder for us 4 years ago. If you weren't brave, you wouldn't have gotten on that plane," Ava pointed out. "You wouldn't have let me back into your life. You wouldn't be sitting here right now, giving us a second chance." Emily looked at Lily's sleeping face, peaceful and trusting. "I want this to work, Ava, but I need to know you're serious. I need to know you're not going to run away again when things get complicated." "I'm not going anywhere," Ava said firmly. "I meant what I said on the plane. I'll transfer to Portland. I'll quit flying if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes to be part of your lives. And if Lily doesn't adjust well, if she has trouble accepting you as more than just mommy's friend, then we'll take it slow. We'll let her set the pace. I'm not trying to replace anyone or force anything. I just want to be here, in whatever way you'll let me." Emily reached over and took Ava's free hand, the one that wasn't supporting Lily's sleeping form. "I love you," she said quietly. "I never stopped loving you, but I'm scared." "I love you too," Ava said, squeezing her hand. "And I'm scared too. But maybe we can be scared together this time, instead of running away from each other." "Together," Emily repeated, testing the word. It felt foreign after 4 years of doing everything alone, but also right in a way that made her chest ache with hope. On the screen, Moana was singing about how far she'd go, about the call of the ocean and the pull of adventure. Emily thought about her own journey, how she'd spent 4 years afraid to fly, afraid to trust, afraid to hope. But sometimes the scariest journeys led to the most beautiful destinations. Ava? She said softly. Yeah? Next time we fly somewhere, I think I'll be okay. As long as you're there. Ava smiled, the kind of smile that lit up her whole face. I'll always be there, for both of you, for as long as you'll have me. Emily looked at her little family, because that's what they were now, or what they could become, and felt her heart finally, fully, come home. Outside, planes traced silver paths across the evening sky, carrying other people toward their own destinations, their own second chances, their own happy endings. But Emily wasn't watching the sky anymore. She was right where she belonged, grounded at last in love that had learned to fly. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more emotional journeys like this one. Share this video with someone who believes in second chances, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever had a love that felt like coming home? Your stories inspire the tales we tell. Until next time, remember that sometimes the most turbulent flights lead to the smoothest landings.